All right, we are live now. Welcome everyone. It's Monday evening, and we are working with the last chapter of practical work on self, the last hour of life. And I don't think we finished reading this chapter. I left like 10 minutes early. Uh, so uh, maybe we pick a page and just start reading, yes? This is a huge chapter. Does this ring a bell? Did we read this paragraph last week? Yeah, I think so. So is it okay if we start reading from 177 page?
Okay. Yeah.
Michelle, you wanna get us started?
Okay. What is it that has really changed? You knew all along that someday the machine would die. Why was this knowledge not sufficient to provide you with the motivation to exert your will, to awaken over the will of the machine, to remain asleep? Why was it not enough to make you appreciate life to this extent? That just the mechanics of bodily survival and the passage of time, which before this seems to drag on interminably and now rushes by inexorably, you can be easily followed in details by your attention, as if you had just now suddenly discovered a treasure you had never known existed. Yet you had it all the time. Pass.
And you explain to yourself why, although you were told about this years ago, you failed to treat every breath, every movement, every sensation, every smell, every sight, every relationship, every activity as if it were the treasure it is now at this moment, as you lie here dying. Now, suppose that you somehow learned that you had exactly 1 hour to live. What would you do with this last precious hour on earth? If you could use this last hour of life to complete all your business with the machine and with your organic world, would you understand how to do this? Would you be satisfied at your last breath that you did, that you had really done everything possible in life to complete your life to your own being satisfaction? Like that.
Not only is this last hour the most important hour of your life at this moment, it sets the scene for the final impressions received by the being through the machine. How fragile organic life really is. At any moment, the machine is only a hair's breadth away from death. From the first moment of conception, we live on borrowed time. In order to really have the freedom to live, we must settle all our business before we die, even in the final hour of life, if necessary. But how do we know exactly which hour will be our last? To be absolutely safe, we should settle our accounts with nature and with the machine at the beginning of each hour. Then death can never catch us by surprise. My pass.
Exactly how to settle accounts every hour is something every human being should have learned in grade school, along with breathing, eating, moving, invocation of presence, and the awakening of objective consciousness. One thing we can ask ourselves is who would be hurt by our death if we died in our present condition. At the moment of death, we should have presence, a clear mind and conscience, taking our last breath with the definite satisfaction that we have done everything within our power to fully use our life. Day by day, if we should ever take the trouble to look, we will discover things which have been left undone and which are in need of repair. It is a mark of a real human being who has really lived that he has squeezed from life every possible drop of quality. We should strive to live our life so that one day we can say at any moment, today I can die without regret. Us.
Never waste what might very well be for you, your last hour of life. No matter how long you live, this last hour will be for you the most important. If you do badly at your last hour, you will certainly feel the sensation of regret. This sensation, if you can allow yourself to feel it now, can be a powerful motivating force to prepare yourself for a clean passage out of the machine. If you knew for a fact that this hour were really your last, you would eat impressions as if they were gourmet food. A real connoisseur of life knows how to extract from every morsel of life the last drop of quality. Demand quality in everything. Do not live life as a savage and a fast.
Demand quality in everything. Do not live life as a savage. During the last hour of your life, you may not have a choice over where you are, but with whom or with whom. But you do definitively have a choice over the quality of the time, because it is you and you alone who determine the state of the machine, whether it is alive or dead, at any moment, including the last. Pass.
The extraction of the essential qualities from life utilizes the same technique as the extraction of higher substances from food, air, and impressions, which is to say, it is automatically accomplished by the awakening of the machine. If you wish real quality from life, your life must be given up to the work for the greater good. For just your personal self, you can have very little. Working towards transformation of your being, not for your own benefit, but for the benefit of the Absolute, which is the same thing as saying, for all beings everywhere is an effective technique for evolution like that.
If you are not satisfied with the quality of your last hour of life, you will not be satisfied with your life as a whole. To die is to move past something that will never come again in exactly the same way. All great philosophers practiced for their last hour of life. I'll give you the same exact exercise which they used to practice for their final hour on earth. Take care not to change even one word of this instruction. Look back at the last hour which has just passed as if it had been your final hour on earth, and you have just now realized that you have died. First, ask yourself if you are satisfied with how you have used this last precious hour of life. Now, return to the stream of organic life and set yourself the aim during the next hour. If you lived, if you lived that long to extract just a little more quality from your life than you had during the previous hour. Determine determine to awaken the machine just a little more, to have just a little more presence in the present, a little more inner fire. And I pass.
Now open your eyes a little wider. By this I mean awaken the machine and bathe in its transformational effects. Be a little more brave than you were for the past hour. You can afford to have courage now that you know it is your last hour and you have nothing to lose. Of course, don't be foolishly so. Know yourself a little more. See your machine just a little more impartially. Now that you are dying, there is no point defending the machine's personal vanity, is there? Every hour from now on until your real final hour, demand from the machine, by its awakening, more quality of life, more life in the intuitive us.
Take a moment or two every hour on the hour to appraise the previous hour impartially. Then set yourself the aim to use the hour yet to come even more fully than you used the previous hour, taking each hour as a separate unit of your life. Strive to use each of these units of life with greater and greater quality. Force yourself to find a way to make each succeeding hour more profitable for your work than the last, and at the same time, find a way to settle all your debts with the machine and with nature up to the present moment. To live the remainder of your life rehearsing for death, hour by hour, is not a morbid fascination with death, but a method of living life more deeply. No one can extract more from every moment of life than a terminal patient who knows more or less when he can expect to die. If we have thought deeply on the possible ways in which we can spend our last days, we change our lives radically. And I pass.
If we know with certainty that we will die soon, that we will soon die, we will bend every ounce of will available to us to the extraction from every hour remaining to us of every possible drop of quality. This is the real meaning of the ancient Essene saying, "The last days are at hand." We all face judgment not from others, but our own last minute final appraisal of our lives. We must not fail to pass this test. Every single moment is an eternal part of creation. In each moment, it is possible to extract a finer substance, which we can call essence of life. On a clean sheet of paper, draw a paper which represents for you the substance, air. Now draw a picture of the substance, food. Now draw a picture of the substance, impressions. Finally, draw a picture of the substance of a moment. Because these can all be pictured as substances, it should give you the hint that they really are substances, that even moments of time are a form of matter. If we are successful in extracting the finer substances from these more gross material substances, familiar to everybody in general, then we must sooner or later pay something for them. This is called the law of equilibrium. We must eventually pay for what we extract of life. And I pass.
But to pay in the moment of our use. Let me give you that again. But to pay in the moment for our use of the moment is what we call real doing. In the beginning, we can only imagine what it is to do with the thinking, feeling, and moving apparatus. But eventually, with work experience, we find that real doing is paying in the moment, leaving nothing for the future. It is not too late even now, although much of your life has been wasted in sleep. From today, you can begin to prepare for death and at the same time increase the quality of your life with the machine. But take this warning. Do not wait too long. Maybe this one last hour is in fact all that remains to you. Pass.
You may be able to glibly repeat this verbatim, but unless actually practiced, this cannot mean anything. The awakened machine, functioning higher mental and emotional apparatus, and radiation of one's presence are the only real tools of communication. At the end of each hour, having completed your appraisal of the work profit of the previous hour, imagine waking up suddenly in a complete new world in which you recognize the fact that you are a total stranger, even though everything looks vaguely familiar to you. establishing a whole new working relationship with this new world demonstrates clearly that your apparent automatic continuation in the flow of life is not really the same at all from hour to hour pass.
You could see yourself as a ghost, destined to wander from world to world as an uninvited guest. From this vantage point of what value is anything accomplished in the course of ordinary life, consider the results of all your strivings of the past. What are they worth now? We in the work are in many ways dead to the world, and at the same time more alive than anything in it. Work, a small, strange difference in our lives, and yet to some of us, life is meaningless without this little difference. It should be easy to see that life is futile in the ordinary sense. Every accomplishment, no matter how great in the scale of planetary life, sooner or later is lost in the big sense. Time grinds every grain to dust. Even the biggest names in history sooner or later will be forgotten. To understand the real possibilities of life on earth, we must discover what can be accomplished in this world, which would be of use beyond this world past.
Study the lives of those who managed to amass great wealth, armies, influence, and power over others. Of what use to them, now that they are dead, are their great accomplishments? Even during life, they were empty dreams. Learn to use each hour to the fullest possible profit. Write a detailed plan for your last hour of the life. By this little exercise, you will be forced to sink your roots of meditation deeply into the whole question of the real value of life as a prisoner in the human biological machine, just to understand how to die. Not just anyone is able to really die. The human biological machine can be converted to one form of fertilizer or another for the use of organic life on the planet. But because the creation is eternal, we cannot really die just because the biological machine dies. To die forever to this world is an honor which must be paid for by conscious labor and intentional suffering through the process of conscious eternal return. Picture the events, sensations, thoughts, and feeling of each hour of life on earth. Ask yourself, is this really what I wish to do with the last hour of my life? If not, you must find a way to satisfy this question. Pass.
Look at life as a business in which time is money. Time literally represents the money of life. We are given a certain amount to spend and no more when we come into this world. Perhaps now you can see how stupidly you have spent much of it. Even your aim in life, just to relax, has been defeated. As a consumer of life, you have cheated yourself. All your life, you believed everything was free. Air is free, time is free. Now suddenly you discover that these are not free, that you pay dearly for the use of the machine. You pay with precious time. Every moment you're here, it costs something. One moment is the price of each breath. How can you ever recoup these losses? If you have spent all your money on vacations, nothing is left to you now but empty nostalgia. For years you have spent your time as if it were one continuous, endless allowance from your parents. Only now, after the family fortune has been spent down to the last penny and you find yourself bankrupt, do you discover that you're forced to earn every hour of life. All your life, you were like a child spending time, the money of transformation, like a newlywed. And I pass.
You will find many excuses not to practice the last hour of life. The will and habits of the machine are very strong, but you can learn to do more and more once you begin. Think of your last hour of life as a great ballet for which a lifetime of continual practice is necessary.
Oh, look at that. That's the end of the chapter and the end of the book.
Wow.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it feels like, there are 24 chapters in this book, and this is like this last chapter feels like graduation,
Right.
like a big one. This is huge compared to the last few chapters that we've been reading. Has a more serious tone to it.
Mm.
Could be.
I mean, this is what reminds you, right? That when when you listen to older people, they're extremely nostalgic of the times that they spent. And suddenly it just shakes you that this is going to be you, if you don't work right now. So suddenly the way it just,
Well, that's a good point. Let's see, hang on. That's a good point. So let's just say that that image is correct, that here's somebody dying and they're recollecting, right? Their past experiences.
mm,
You can go ahead and take the sharing
Yeah,
down.
I was thinking the same thing.
And so they're recollecting this. What are they doing at that moment? How would you evaluate what they're actually doing right then?
like it'll basically be a garland of all the present moments that they have accumulated over time.
Okay. They're
Because these are
capturing, yeah, they're recapturing something from the past, right?
Mhm. But again, like that is something that has stayed in their memory. So their presence would have been extreme to remember it after like 50, 60, 70 years, So that shows that probably they were in that moment, in that presence.
How about after 30 or 35 years, Bhavani?
I already see myself doing. I am
Exactly.
not that far. I'm right there.
So it's like a weaving process. So something I'm trying to do that I will be trying to do in the next 6 months at a hospice is allow people to because you to join hospice, you must be certified by 2 doctors that you're going to die within 6 months. Okay. And if you have that certification, you're pretty much going to die. Not everybody does, but something like 95% do. So, and a lot of people go, dying with dignity and stuff like that. I say I want to call that period of time the period of reflection, because I think Bhavani is kind of right that let's say that somebody's sitting there dying and they suddenly remember going fishing with their very best friend when they were in the 7th grade, right? And they're capturing a moment of presence at that moment. So, what is recognizing the fact that they are capturing a moment of presence at that moment? Right?
Could you repeat the question again?
Beautiful.
So some guy is dying and he says, "Oh yeah, I remember in the 7th grade when Kenny and I went fishing together for the whole day."
Yeah.
And let's say that Bhavani is correct and that person is recalling a moment of awakening, presence. My question is, what is the feature that is in them that is recalling that?
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Go ahead, Bernie.
That person is alive in a way and recalls moments of aliveness, if that word exists to me. So, as in this text we read, thinking about death is not a morbid question.
No.
I have talked in the last maybe weeks, friends and families about death, and nobody wants to talk about that or says that you are too, let's say, morbid. Oh no, don't talk about death, talk about life. But as Rory has said somewhere that death has a way to somehow make life more important, because
Death
we have
has a
been,
way of
yes,
making life more important,
yes.
right? And that's what this chapter is saying too.
Mm-hmm.
So, in any other traditions, have you heard anything about dying? How about in the shamanic tradition?
Well, I have heard this term a lot. Die before you die.
Okay, that's in a lot of traditions, yeah.
And especially around the Shiva cult or whatever. I mean, not
Sure.
the parampara basically. So they have a lot of death related stuff.
Name one that you can remember.
A couple, like the one thing, once you become or take initiation, the first thing they start doing is you get rid of your clothes and only wear one bit, and then you put the ashes all over your body.
Yeah.
You constantly remind yourself that you're going to die any moment. So, and then drinking water or food from a skull, like those are extreme ones, which I actually saw when I went to the Himalayan, the
Yeah.
yatra.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was intense. Like, yeah.
Well, in the shamanic tradition, there's a term, doing your death dance.
Mm.
Have you ever heard this? Anybody? The death dance. It's celebrating your life. And the document that we sign with our attorneys before we die is called the last will and testament. Now, the last will is you're willing what you want done with all your junk, okay? Rarely does anybody give a testament. Another tradition, which is quite beautiful, and I don't know, well, no, is the samurai in Japan
Mm.
were required to write a death poem. Have you ever heard this?
No.
No.
Yeah. Want me to read a couple?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. The heart of a child that thinks of its parents, yet greater still, its parents' love. How will they hear this day's tidings? Life interestingly in an uninteresting world. Though my body may decay in the land of Ezo, my spirit guards my Lord in the East. So, and of course they would write it in calligraphy, and there was also a beauty of their calligraphy that was important. If you were going to write a death poem, not that I'm asking anybody to do such a thing, I would never dream of it. Can you imagine even one line that might be in that poem?
David,
Yes, sir.
could we do an exercise? It's funny in a way, but not. It's not a joke. What would each of us would ask to be written on our
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
yes, on our tombstone.
Fuck.
There is a funny side, but uh, let's take it not so funny. Um, what do you say? Then the funny side is, I would say, for example, I'm not dead yet. That is funny, but I don't want to. I would like to be more profound to each of us in our hearts. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, guys, come on. Not no. It could be funny also, but from your heart.
The first thing I thought of was la 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 la. It's like
Dead
just
people
another
live
la la
here.
la. Hmm?
Dead people live here.
Funny. It's funny. But from the heart, I'm thinking to myself from the heart, what I was thinking I did my best, but that's not true.
I would say hopefully this time was worth it.
Yes.
Actually, in my heart, I'm thinking of la la la. I don't know why.
Okay, go with it.
It's like if you're worth remembering, people will remember you anyway. And if you didn't do anything great, you'd be just another note, you know. So
I'm reading something that I have in my agenda written, and if I could, I would leave as a counsel to the next generations, whatever. And there are four lines. The style of the Quatrains. Expect nothing, demand nothing, desire nothing, be nothing. That would be.
You know, this exercise of living the next hour as if it was your last. It sounds like a never-ending stream of uh, work, you know. It, all the previous exercises, it instructed us to try and do it for a week or try and do it for a certain period. This one seems like perennial, and it's like it just goes on and on and on and on, and it sounds a little bit excruciating to be honest. You know, sounds like a lot of work.
Every moment is a work. There's nothing left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so who is saying it's excruciating? Right.
Yeah. Well, I was just when we were reading this chapter, I was just uh, taking into perspective all the issues I have, all life problems you'd be having, and they seem meaningless uh, compared to, if this was really my last hour, all the problems that I have, they are nothing. And I'm like, what am I without my problems? You know?
Well, that for you, in your case, that's a good thing to think about, Nikhil,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you indulge in your problems. Okay.
I
I
identify with them.
No, I think everyone has, like, that was actually exactly what I felt as well. Because suddenly I have all these things that, oh, I wish I could do this, I wish. And suddenly I'm like, chuck that, you know? Like, you just got 1 hour. You've got no time to waste over the past. Get rid of it, you know? Don't think about it for one more moment. So that was like the first thing that struck me, that nothing mattered, whatever the past was, right? Like all these worries that you talked about. So suddenly nothing mattered, and it's just this 1 hour. What can you do the most? Yeah, it was
Well,
really opening.
yeah, but my challenge to that is in a certain way, it's easy to say nothing matters. But every single person here is unique and has been given the blessing of life in each of our unique way. So, I mean, there are four people here who have kids, right? Five, including me, I guess. Yeah. And actually, I don't know about Bernie. Do you have children?
3, but they are grown up.
It happens, Bernie. It happens. So most of us have children. So we were brought into this life for one is to to be a parent,
Mm.
to guide the child, you know. And how are we doing with that? It's a big job. Some of us were trained to become architects or engineers or doctors or mothers, These are these are first level jobs. It's like, you know, I don't have I'm not attracted to the skills, for instance, that Michelle has. She has certain skills, body work skills and massage and things like that. I just have never been attracted to learn that. I don't know how to do that. So my uniqueness has nothing to do with that area of life. It has to do with other areas of my life, of life in general. See what I mean?
Mm.
We each, so nothing matters can also act as what's called spiritual bypassing, which is bypassing the work in front of you.
Yeah.
So
I think
some
I
of it,
should have reframed it as it
yeah,
suddenly felt minuscule.
what?
Like it suddenly felt minuscule, like all the worries and everything that you had. When you suddenly think of it as the last hour, so the
Well, that's
gravity
different.
changes.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we read, I think, is very strong. But I must say that it's in many lines it stressed that if we only this only passes through the mental apparatus,
Mm.
only it's just another story we tell ourselves. And when we finish this moment, well, we go on our real business in a way. And I would like to share a little story, very, very short, that
Sure.
it was like a Sufi master or whatever, wisdom. And he was asked, how do you live your life? And this guy said, I live my life as it would as I could be dead uh, in the next hour. And he asked the guy that asked said, well, but that is a fact that could be. Yes, said the Sufi master. But how many people live in that way? So that's it's a story that I read somehow, but it relates to that situation that when you are in a very difficult or fearful situation, there is a paradox that you feel life then in another way, no? So that's I think with this I have to round my thinking that we have we should or we could if we can not only with our mental apparatus but our emotional moving or whatever we have it would be it would be important to access this last chapter.
Yeah.
I plan to uh, change it into Spanish and send it to some people who I love and share it in Spanish, of course.
Mm.
Maybe.
Yeah. It sounds like since we finished reading this chapter, what we should do is,
But
uh,
one second, Nick. Bernie, it was translated into Spanish.
Yes, okay.
And
I look it
do
up.
do you have it in Spanish yourself?
I have a copy, but it's not a good copy. I will try
Okay.
to find out a good copy because when I read this with you in English, and I found a lot of mistakes in this copy, but I will find it.
I'll find the last chapter here.
Okay,
I'll find it in Spanish,
okay, please
and
send
then
it me.
I'll extract it and I'll send it to you. Give me a
Okay.
couple of days, okay?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Did we say we are going to look at it next time again? Is that what we said?
yeah, I was thinking that since we just finished reading
Yeah,
this chapter as a group, we should spend the week, read through it again, come back
yes.
next week and discuss it, and then for week after that, we should do the exercise. Does that sound like a plan to you guys?
Fine.
You mean do the exercise during the class, or you mean before?
Not during the class. Well, we won't. Well, you can if you want to, but this week I will just read the chapter again and then come back next week. And then week after that, then I will attempt to do the last hour of life exercise.
Which is to extract the essence of life, the qualities. Is that extracting in every moment?
Well, what I would say is read the chapter, and for yourself, there are many little things that could be the exercise for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you come to the meeting, say, here's the exercise I want to do based on my reading of it. And then you can tell us how you're going to do that.
Okay.
And then do it the
Great.
following week, you know.
Yeah,
Nice,
that
nice.
sounds like a good
Yeah,
way to
you give
approach
us.
this.
Yeah, David give us that. You already gone, Nikhil, I think. But last week he told us to see how we can already begin to work that way. Yeah. Thank you. You give us already a taste of that.
Okay. All right then. I'll see you guys next Monday then. Looking forward to hearing your ideas.
Yeah, good work with you live.
See ya.
Bye.
Good night.